I want you to understand that a winner-take-all, it's like you had 50 applicants for your service. You'd have to figure out how to give it to one person, or you had 15 applicants for one job. You're looking for reasons to throw them out. This is really serious and honest. I'm going to give you a list of the things that you can do to get your application thrown out. If the idea is not original, all it takes is somebody to say, or you to say, this has been done before, it's gone. The committee is really pretty broad in the application review, and if you don't know that somebody else is doing this, there's a duplication, that's another reason to have it thrown out. You can say somebody's doing it but doing it differently, but if you appear to be ignorant about somebody else doing the service, that'll get it tossed. If you're a partnership, a collaboration, that is always a plus because it means it extends it. But if in fact those aren't real partnerships but just endorsements, you know, the letters that say, I think this is a great job and we support their doing it, that's a waste of paper and time and is a red flag which says you have no financial support. This is just, you know, friends giving other friends letters. Don't waste your time with those. And for God, don't do political endorsements. It looks like you have no substantive program, and this is about politics. Please don't do that. That's death. In terms of something very interesting, this is the dilemma. The 21st century money, 100,000, has got to be significant, but it can't be everything. If you're running a budget now of $15,000 or $20,000 and you're asking for 100,000, it ain't going to make it. You have no track record or capability or competence to manage 100,000. If you've got $1 million budget, yeah, you can run 100,000. But the other question is, what difference does it make? What difference does our money make? So you're kind of in between. We want to play a significant role, but we can't be everything and we can't be nothing. So you've got a pretty good range in between. You got to be ready to go. Do not lie on your application. It takes one lie to get it thrown out, but to get its reputation ruined as well. Most applicants, all of those who win, have applied more than once. Okay, just so you know that. Perseverance does pay off. But if you're lying, if you say that the board has approved and it hasn't, or you say you have money coming from another organization and you don't, or if you say you have a permit and you don't, that's really serious. Integrity is not something you get back easily. So be very careful about that. If you're doing something with a specific site and you name it, that's what we're funding. You don't come back later on and say, oh, we changed our place. No, 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 no. That caused us problems in the past, and it's not something we want to repeat. Your budget, it ought to add up. This is not so funny. It don't add up. In fact, in the whole application, have somebody read it who didn't write it. Because if it looks like it's full of errors, then we consider that a reflection of the competence of the organization. You're not sending us a draft, okay? And please look at it. You know, if you write your own comments in the middle of it, you know, like parentheses, why are we saying this? And we get that, and we have gotten those. I'm telling you, we have gotten drafts. We have gotten drafts with comments on the side in the old Word that could show you about the editing. We don't want to see how it's made. We just want to see it. The budget should be real, not fiction. And one of the areas that I am always cautious about is in kind. Most of that is fiction. If you're dealing with volunteer services, you wind up adding a certain amount. There's no way for us to do much with that. It's nice, but there's no way to give it much weight. There are certain exceptions to that, but big in-kind monies are interesting, but they are very difficult, and most of they really are fiction. Try not to use jargon. make sure we can understand it and everybody can understand it. You ought to know that a number of the votes in the final and in between are from students still in school, including high school. This is not an application for federal monies or state monies. Bring it down. Make sure it's clear, really clear. That really is important. Size. Size is important. Now, our history is we have tended to fund, in the end, larger organizations, despite the fact that the evaluation committee, particularly, and those who vote, are always looking for a great small project. Because, in fact, we funded a lot of large projects. The problem with small projects is we can't always be assured that you'll do it. But if you think that there's a bias against small project, I would say no, it's quite the other way. The committee is looking for good small projects, good grassroots organizations. When it comes down to a final vote, I can say that I believe that many of the donors deal with it as if it's charity rather than return on investment. So in some ways, your application ought to kind of touch both hearts and heads. We ought to be saying, what are we getting for our money? But also that this is good work. This is important work, and your name ought to be associated with it. Conflicts of interest. If there's a member of the evaluation committee who has an association with your organization, they will remove themselves from the evaluation of that. So if you think having somebody in the evaluation is an advantage, it is not at all. Okay? Any attempts, foolish attempts, to try to influence that process will backfire in your face. Please don't do that. Please. It just looks like it's not competent. And I know that's kind of the way business is done elsewhere. It's not the way it's done here. And again, as she had mentioned, if somebody calls up, it'd be good to return the call. We've had situations where the calls weren't returned. And how do you think the evaluation committee dealt with that? Now, I guess that's all the bad news. If there's any good news, it's that because I'm not involved in the evaluation committee, I'm offering my services again to provide technical assistance to any of you at any stage of the application. The idea, how you're writing it, any of the cuts. It is not, I am not easy, but I helped Lori last year, so you want to tell them what to expect?
Pretty much like this, but more. Yeah, we did, just Buffalo Literary Center did a proposal with the Western New York Book Arts Collaborative for the Book Arts Center, and it was, all I can say is it was extremely, extremely helpful because, again, imagine this, but on your specific project, asking you those hard questions, you know, really drilling down. So I plan to use the invaluable service again, and I would urge you to consider it.
Nice speech. The
made it to the final. That's what I'm saying.
they made it. You didn't win though. Most of the others though that I dealt with, I really actively discouraged because their proposals were lacking in substance and in process, and dealt with some of the issues you said. So the result of most of them talking to me was they didn't apply. So that's kind of the reality. I'm available. You get me through Rachel, and then we set up a meeting, and I ask you what's going on, and then as you begin to get things in shape, I torture the hell out of you. And that's just an offer.